All right, we're gonna get the meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, get started with a roll call. Here. Here. Here.
Here. And Belly,
Here.
Falco, here. Your zoning solicitor and co-director also.
All right. We are going to go a little bit out of order on the agenda just because we have a few things that we know we can get taken care of fairly quickly, and we have a few members that have to switch out based on being here last month. So we're going to start off with application Z 2025-25 for Kenneth G. Barringer and Elizabeth Weber of 411 Luella Ave in Wayne, pertaining to subject property at 3671 Wyola Drive. Applicant is seeking special exception relief from sections 172-141F to allow for a single-family home addition and other accessory structures on a non-conforming lot. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections in the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R1 zoning district. Mr. Barringer, yeah, if you can have a seat here. And Mrs. Weber? All right. We'll get the two of you sworn in.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and do we have anyone here who wishes to make public comment on this application or is a party protestant? No one? All right. And Andy, is the file in order?
Yes, I was in order, tell on the screen, what the overhead, we had the legal notice that was prepared. That notice was mailed to all property within 200 feet of this property boundary. We also have a photograph of the proof of posting, as well as the proof of publication. For this hearing was advertised on 2 separate pages. That's a little paper.
Sam?
Mr. Chairman, based on the representation of our zoning officer, I ask that the application by the applicants and accompanying documents and exhibits be marked as Township Exhibit number 1. The list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property, notifying them of tonight's hearing, be marked as Township Exhibit number 2. Proofs of publication in the Delaware County Daily Times in 2 consecutive weeks, be marked as Township Exhibit number 3. And the posting of the property as depicted by the picture, notifying people of tonight's hearing, be marked as Township Exhibit number 4.
All right, they are admitted. And floor is yours. Take us through what you're looking to do. If you do have to get up to speak, just grab that microphone there, but
Okay.
or in front of you. But
What, this microphone?
if you're going to stand up to move, I saw you had some plans, or I didn't know if you'd be standing up, but other than that, you're good to go.
We're good. We bought the property last July and single family home. We intend to move into it with our family. It was in poor condition, I'll say. So we're looking to remodel it, expand it a little bit. We take the addition off the back, put a new addition on. It's slightly larger, but not much. We're staying within the setbacks as spelled out in R1. And we're going to plan to move into it. Just need this because our lot is undersized, as I understand it. We need a special exception.
All right.
Well, if I can, the only reason the applicant's here this evening and my thoughts is because the lot is non-conforming. And according to section 172-141F, any expansion on non-conforming lot requires special exception approval. So that's the sole reason the applicant's here this evening.
All right. I mean, do we want to get on the record just exactly what they're doing? I mean, is it this an addition, I guess, that you're doing to just staying in line with the existing property or?
It'll be behind the house, like it would not be visible even from the street. No.
And
Okay,
we're
and-
on, it's an acre property, so we're well within the bounds.
Right, no side yard setback issues or rear yard setback
We're actually-
issues? Just- Okay,
The existing house will stay, and, well, I don't,
I mean. All right.
My understanding is you checked with your neighbors and they
We
were
have a
not
letter
opposed, they
from
were,
two of our
they were
neighbors
fine
here.
with it. My
Yes.
understanding is also that I think it's 300 feet deep on your property,
yes.
so
Football field, yeah.
football field deep,
Plenty of room.
yeah. Okay.
You want to run with it?
Sure. Um, With regard to is there anybody else, do you want public comments or public?
No, no one had public
No,
comment,
no.
so.
With regard to application 2025-25, with regard to the applicant seeking special exception relief from section 172-141F to allow for a single-family home addition and other accessory structures on a non-conforming lot. I move to approve and grant that application.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. All right. Next application up is Z 2025-14, Christina and Mark Vacolo of MVP Plumbing. This is continued from the May 15th meeting. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You can keep it on. Is it green right now? Oh, you can press that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I guess in the file, we don't have to get the files in order. Is there anybody here on behalf of this application or
Yeah, well, yeah.
anybody wishing to
know,
make public comment on this application or? All right. All right, want to fill us in on the latest?
Yeah, so last time we were here, there was a problem. The back sign was an issue, covering the back window. The front signage was covering the whole window and the top window that was covering too. So we made some, I thought, pretty substantial concessions. And we took the front bay window and sort of narrowed it down. So the whole perimeter, we narrowed it down so you can see inside the window, because you guys said you wanted to see inside, which we did do that. We took the top window out. We're gonna replace it with a medallion, which is like 5 square feet. The pole sign we want to keep, and like you said, we removed the back window. And we removed the back window, the back sign there, yeah, so.
Do you have a calculation for where you're at now in
Yes.
terms percentage wise?
So it would be 35.62 square feet that we're asking for if, with the pole sign, while we're asking for a permit for the full sign, just because it's all one sign that we share with our landlord. If the square footage of just our portion was counted towards it, that would make it the 35.62. But if for your permit purposes, you have to include the full square footage, then it would be 47.43.
I know we brought that up last month, saying I think we were all of the same agreement that we were okay with only counting half of the sign towards that for your calculation, so.
Okay.
And I know you've dropped it significantly from being at an 85% increase or whatever it was over that, so.
Yeah.
Or 85 square feet of signage. Anybody from the board have any questions or concerns about this one?
You saying you're putting in the permit for the full sign, but you still plan on using just half?
Yeah, like, so the vinyl, it's one sign,
Right.
it's all one sign, but we're putting in a permit for the full sign to be approved. But just requesting that if you would consider just counting our portion towards the square footage allowance, since that's like our business that's getting.
You won't be
advertised.
using that, it'll remain as space available for.
Yeah, exactly. So so if somebody else, I don't think they're gonna put up a new sign, but yeah, the space available portion would still remain there
Wow.
It's been there for years.
Yeah.
That time, way before. So.
You guys okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
We are.
I'll make a motion on application Z 2025-14 to approve the request for up to 35.62 square feet of signage. Recognizing that if we do, from a permitting perspective, count the full front sign, we would approve the total square footage of 47.43 square feet, but recognizing the applicant will still utilize just half of the whole sign signage.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
finally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
All right.
love seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, big out.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Okay. It's,
Well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave these. So you're pretty sure?
Either, so do I go out? For the week? I mean, I'm close, I guess. Some render decision, that's the only reason. Yeah. All right, the next application will be Z 2025-21 116 Chestnut. If that application would mind coming up, we're just asking a quick question up here. You can come take a seat. Yep.
Make sure that green button's on, please. Yep, thank you. Probably want to move it closer also.
All right, so for this application, we're gonna go through, last month, we heard the testimony. We had you take back a couple of the concerns. We had some party protestants. You are still the party protestants. Are there any additional party protestants or any additional people waiting to make addition or public comment? Okay. But you are going to be the official party protestant if you. Right. So just to be clear, party protestant received a notice of this variance application. You have to live within a specific perimeter of the household. Acting as a party protestant, you have the ability to question the application. You also have legal standing in the matter. So if this were to be, you have the ability to appeal the decision tonight, and you have continued legal merit in the decision moving forward. Public comment is just strictly making a public comment. That's after the testimony is going to be heard. You can come up and just make a comment that the board would take into consideration, but two very different meanings and definitions of what your status represents. So, okay.
My name is Maria McMurty, McMearty. We're good? Hold it up closer? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, James Reef, R-E-I-F as in Frank, Reef. F as in Frank, Reef, R-E-I-F. Yes. 122 Chestnut Street.
If you did not hear, I have some things to submit for evidence along with comments, so I don't know where to.
Okay, perfect. Let's give the applicant a chance first. Were there any changes to the application or any other comments that you want to make as far as your application or adjustments or any conversations you had post last meeting, or is it remaining the same with your existing?
Per the last meeting, we just remained the same. We are under the interpretation, this will just be a rendered decision tonight and nothing more on record, but that's was our interpretation from last meeting.
Right.
Oh, so from the last meeting on June 19th, I think that's what it was. We were under the interpretation, this was a rendered decision, not an additional testimony or anything of that nature. That's why I'm the only one here today.
Standpoint of the record at open. Technically speaking, at the last hearing, we continued this matter, so therefore the record would be officially still open for additional comment and additional evidence if either party wanted to proceed. You would have an opportunity to respond to anything that's said, and certainly the board would consider, if you don't have your personnel here tonight to respond accordingly, if you wanted to continue it, I think the board would consider that as well. We don't want to vacate anybody's opportunity to be heard.
I probably need Brian to jump in. Hold on.
Okay. We want to. Yep, and then move the next. You said to ask your.
Yeah, I'd rather have, if this is going to be on the record, I'd rather have a conversation with my my consultants and then come back.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's hang here. Don't leave yet. You can have a conversation. If he says continue, we can come back. Either way, we're going to come back and revisit it. We're either going to make a decision, listen to more testimony, or just continue the application another month, just to make sure we're well represented. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right, let's move on to application Z 2025-17. Yes, ma'am. Two hundred. Yep.
Hello, my name is Sarah. My name is Sarah Smith. S-A-R-A-H. Thank you. Yes, just out of curiosity, what is the perimeter required for people to go on record and comment further on this property and the proposed second residence that is to be built there?
Is 200 feet perimeter from the property.
280.
200 feet.
200 feet. Okay.
Correct.
I don't remember receiving a letter, but I did when I was walking the neighborhood with my kids, notice the signage. All right, and that's why I'm here today.
Do you live within 200 feet?
I am further down away, so I think I might be out of that, but.
So you're out of the party protestant category, but you will the ability to make a public comment
Okay.
at the end.
All right, and then I just was curious for other neighbors that were around there to see if they're within that perimeter. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Chairman, if I can make a comment, regarding the letters for protesters, because I did not get one, and I'm literally right next to it.
Mhm. Okay, all right.
We send letters out, so people within that 200 yards, plus the post was 200 yards from the house.
It's not 200 yards. 200 feet.
I'm sorry, 200 feet.
But let's not have any further conversation. We'll wait until he gets back.
the determination of party protestants is
Let's,
it sold?
can we just wait?
Yeah.
Let's,
Part of this conversation, that last month's hearing.
Yep.
In addition, we posted the property, so we recognize that Mr. Wright didn't necessarily, he may not have necessarily gotten the mail, but it was posted, the property was posted.
Yep.
And I believe, Mr. Wright, you were here as a party contestant last week.
Correct.
So we've kind of covered that.
Right. I think he's talking about additional neighbors and the actual representation.
I think that's my question. Everybody is here for the reason it was posted. So we have a mailing list, we can provide mailing.
I think my point is that.
can we please wait? We asked, let's just wait until he gets back. We asked that. We're having a conversation while the other gentleman's not here.
We do the next.
Yeah, do we want to move on to the other application?
Yeah, we will come back today. We're just letting him have the conversation. Just don't go anywhere. No, that's fine. I apologize. All right, let's move on to application Z 2025-17 for 3314 St. David's. Uh, 5.2.
We,
All right,
can we can we have some quiet in here as we go on to the next application, please?
thank you.
Thank you.
So similarly, this one was continued from last month. Are there any party protestants that were here last month present tonight for this application? Application 5.2, 2025-17. We definitely had one last month. Yes. Correct,
Already on the record.
correct. They're not here. All right, perfect. Anyone wanting to make public comment about this after the application is heard? Awesome. So everyone for the previous application. Great. All right, sir. We sent you back to just rethink some things, look at the requests, the number of variances, hopefully make some changes, talk to the neighbors. Can you walk us through those changes?
So, good evening. Hello again. For anyone I did not meet at the last.
Weren't last.
Mhm.
You were sworn in. last.
Yes, yes.
You were under oath then.
Yep, no. Yep, you got it. For anyone, I did not meet at the last meeting. My name is John Finnerty. I'm the owner of 3314 St. David's Road. I'm here this evening with Mark Padula of Padula Engineering. I recently purchased this property with the intent of developing with a new construction home and returning this evening after receiving a continuance last month. At the conclusion of last month's meeting, I was given the following to address: modify the plans, connect with the township arborist on tree recommendations and incorporate them into the plans, meet with Andy, the zoning officer, to review the modifications, obtain architectural drawings and 3D renderings of the house and garage for visual clarity. Over the last 30 days, I've worked with Padula Engineering to modify the plans. I connected with John Hosbach to discuss tree recommendations. John recommended a southern magnolia street tree, which is now reflected on the plans. A photo of this tree is shown in Exhibit 6. Although not required, we also drew in a number of evergreen trees on the side and rear property lines. After modifying the plans, I met with Andy to discuss them. Architectural drawings and 3D renderings were obtained and they were shown here in Exhibits 7 and 8. I also met personally with Walter and Bridget High, who at last month's meeting had party status. We met at their home to discuss the revised plans. We connected again this past Tuesday, and they reported that after reviewing all of the updated plans, they no longer have any objections to the plans.
Do we have anything from them stating that, or have we?
I don't, he told me.
I
he
mean, how do
wasn't gonna
we
be-
handle that, Sam? Just,
Well, at this point, we've got on the record that representation.
They could always come
We
back.
can condition it if in fact there is a condition with regard to approval. If you want to see the letter, we'll ask that that objection be removed.
I had several conversations with them. I'd be happy to talk with them. They said that they weren't going to come because at this point that they didn't have any objection.
They did have the opportunity to come if they continued to object.
So I'll now review the variances and special exceptions that are still required to make this plan work. First variance was to permit the total impervious surface to exceed 25% of lot area. The plans were revised to reduce the impervious coverage from 28.5% down to 26.5%. So it was reduced by 2%, but still requiring a variance. Stormwater testing was conducted on the property. Testing location 4, situated in the north center portion of the property, had the highest infiltration rate of the 4 locations evaluated. The location of testing 4 requires the proposed garage to be situated on the south side of the proposed dwelling. The testing results are reflected in Exhibit 9. Due to the uniqueness of the property, it being on a high traffic road, we would like to provide ample parking for visitors. And for safety reasons, we have drawn in a turnaround so that drivers do not have to back out onto St. David's Road, especially for delivery vehicles. Next variance is to permit a maximal permissible disturbed area of steep slopes to exceed 15%. As I mentioned in the previous variance request, the garage is required to be on the south side of the proposed dwelling due to the stormwater infiltration bed being on the north side. The stormwater bed location has been revised and is shown on this current plan. We propose to remove the current horseshoe driveway due to safety concerns, which happens to be within the steep slope areas. And PennDOT, who I've talked with, said that the driveway needs to be placed where we show it. They also agreed that it would be best to remove the lower driveway entrance for safety reasons. The next variance is to permit finished slopes in excess of 3:1. We have revised the plans to completely eliminate this variance. The next variance is section, or it's 172-103B, to permit a private garage to exceed 1,000 square feet in area and 17 feet in height. This one here, guys, I do, need to clarify a few things because there's a couple of things that I have going on. At the first hearing, I mentioned I wanted to have an office on the second floor of the garage. I believe someone mentioned that at the time, an additional variance would be required to permit that. And if true, I'm requesting a variance to allow a home office on the second floor of the garage. The plan has been updated to make the garage smaller in depth. So instead of it being 36 feet deep, we went to 35 feet deep. And so now we're under the 1,000 square foot threshold. I still do need to discuss with you the height and like the livable area and just get a couple of details clarified and review that. So I did create here a sketch. It is in Exhibit 10. Now, in Exhibit 10, and just going through this, and maybe I don't know if Andy can help, maybe further clarify some of the I guess variances and the differences is. So in Exhibit 10, I kind of show what we have proposed, and showing the grades. So there's a mean grade on the rear, and then the mean grade on the front. So from the mean grade in the middle up to the mean roof line versus the ridge line, the mean roof line is 15.54 feet, up to the ridge is 21.54 feet. So if I needed a variance there to be able to have the garage taller than 17 feet in height, I would be requesting that. The importance of that is two things. Number one, the scale of the garage. I want to make sure that when I build the house, the garage is scaled appropriately so it doesn't look like it's too small and it's not proportional. The second piece to that is, having the office above above the garage. So if there's any, I'm not sure if that's one variance, two variances.
I believe it's two.
Two-
Right, would be for
two
the
di-
height and for the ability to use the space as an office. Can
As
you
an
explain the hardship for the office space?
Yeah, the office space, just in today's world, as I'm developing the property, since 2020, everybody seems to be working from home. And I just want to be able to have, you know, additional space, you know, that is available to be able to use.
That's not a hardship. You gotta tell us a hardship.
Okay, so
There is none, right?
tough one. There's, you know, I'm just limited on my side yard setbacks to be able to have that garage attached to the house. So that's, you know, if I have a 40-foot side yard setback and a 45-foot side yard setback, I can't keep that garage attached. I would love to be able to keep it attached, right?
Sure.
And I can't.
I understand the scaling of the house to look visually.
So
appropriate.
just so you can envision it, exhibit 1 shows one that we just built here in Newtown Square. This one is in a different township, and I do understand that. But you know, if I can build that thing and attach it to the house, that's how my house is done, where it's up closer and attached. The next variance that we would be discussing is the 10-foot separation. I did talk with Andy about this. The intent of that ordinance is for fire separation, having the garage 10 feet away. So if the garage were to catch on fire, it's separate from the house. So, you know, there is some relief necessary there. It's 10 feet away from the house. It's not 10 feet away from the furthest most point, which is the sunroom. So there's, you know, I'm trying my best against it. It's a balancing act of trying to keep everything to a minimum, and one ordinance affects another ordinance type thing. So if I push it further back, it's in more impervious coverage. And if I pull it forward, it, you know, affects another variance. So that's something that I believe, you know, with all of the circumstances with the setbacks, I can't accomplish what I would really like to. So the next variance was that to permit an accessory structure to be within the setback lines if the building is located within 10 feet further back from the front street line from the rearmost portion of the main building. So I had just explained that one. And then we have to permit a fence closer to the street than the frontmost portion of the dwelling unit. Since the property is situated on St. David's Road, we're requesting relief just due to safety concerns. Exhibit 5 is an example of a similar fence, as well as 2 stone pillars that we're proposing on the plan. Also shown on the plan are 2 optional gates to help address any potential safety concerns from a future prospective buyer. Lastly is the special exceptions. There's a special exception is requested to permit a safety and privacy fence along the front of the property line. That's kind of goes hand in hand with the last of the variances. And then at the last month's meeting, there was a special exception, you know, in regards to a front yard setback, and we adjusted the plan to completely eliminate that. So all in all, guys, you know, I want everything to fit and, you know, fit the neighborhood, and with these revisions, I believe I've, you know, created a better plan, addressed all the advice I've received last month, and I'm requesting the grant relief necessary for the project to move forward. So open it up for a discussion.
All right. I appreciate that, taking it back, and there's definite clear changes. The renderings on the driveway, the changes to the driveway, you said there was a diagram?
Yeah, so the driveway on exhibit 3, if you were to take a look at exhibit 3, this is a project that we recently completed in Malvern. That is essentially, this is a bigger house. This is like a 5,400 square foot home, and we're requesting to build a 4,500 square foot home. This also, you can't see it in exhibit 3. There's another, I think there's another exhibit. Exhibit 2 shows it's got a 3-car garage, but the Exhibit 3 is a mirror image of pretty much exactly what I'm looking to do on this particular property. So you just take it and flip it. The driveway would come in, if I'm on St. David's Road, the driveway would be coming in on the left, climbing up, and the garage is on the right. So it's just a reverse plan of something that I had already completed. So I just wanted to be able to kind of show what we're proposing.
Yep, makes sense. In
On
the
the,
pre-
on
Go
the,
ahead.
on the garages, are they 2-car garages? In other words, there's four in the, and then
Yes.
a 2 and a 3, so you're really gonna have 7 cars?
No, 2-car garage on the house, okay?
It
then
has
a
2 doors, they're both single.
Single doors, yes.
Okay.
2-car garage, how we have it situated is a 2-car garage, like 20 by 20, two cars. And then turn 90 degrees and 2 cars. If you look at Exhibit 2, bigger lot, bigger house, 3-car garage and 3-car detached garage. So the Exhibit 2 and 3 was simply just to show the driveway orientation.
No, I'm looking at 1.
Oh, so
On 1, it looks like
Exhibit 1, to answer your question, yes, two garage doors here, 2 garage doors here, and Exhibit 1 it best reflects what we have on the plan.
Last month you requested, I think it was over 77% into the steep slope. Did that number come down at all with your revision?
So, no, that didn't come down, but in talking with Andy and going through the plan, you could take a look at the plan. This is not that's not the plan. That's maybe. This is, I have
The most recent,
yeah,
different than what we have here in the packet.
what's that?
That's different than what we have in the packet.
What we have is what's on display up there.
This was submitted
Yeah.
2 days ago, 3 days ago, so.
I don't know how. That's if you were to scroll down, it just doesn't. That is from last month.
2 entrances to the street.
That's it, right? There you go. There you go. This is the updated plan. Which specifically to go along with your question, the stormwater management bed, after doing the test holes and getting the test results, if you look on the north side of the lot, you mind if I get up and maybe point?
Bring the microphone, it's underneath your paper, yep.
So on the north side of the lot, that is the best infiltration that we got on the stormwater management testing. So the stormwater management bed that was initially shown out in the front yard has to move over to the side yard, which really requires us to put the driveway. It's the only place to put a garage. So and PennDOT is requiring us to put the driveway entrance on the north side. Stormwater management bed has to go there. So you have to cross this. So, and I want to, eliminate the safety hazard of the old horseshoe driveway. So I need to get rid of that horseshoe driveway, take this up here onto this side. So, in talking with Andy, it's, it really, the most impact, it just happened that on the low side of the lot, that is the best for the stormwater management bed.
Mhm. All right.
I'm having a hard time with that 75 or 77%. I mean, I just think it's really an overreach. I mean, you have a pool, you've got, a garage that you want to use upstairs with. I just think it's an overreach on your part. And I'm having a hard time building this, and it's very nice, right? And it'll make your job of selling it a lot easier, but our job isn't here to make your job easier. Our job here is to give you the least amount of relief that you need to build a house, because you're allowed to build a house there. I just think you're asking too much from us, and you got to come up with something. You got to take something away, pool, patio, something. You got to get that 75 down, 77 down, whatever that number is. For me, now I don't, I'm only one vote. So.
I have a similar related question. What is the current percent, right? If the proposed is 77, what is it today on the property? That's.
You're asking about disturbance?
Yeah, what is the current disturbance on the property? I'm just
Well,
curious how much it's changing in the current condition today without stormwater management, right? How much more is it increasing than what is currently there without stormwater management, if you have that number?
Are we talking about impervious cover?
Mark,
No, I think
M-A-R-K,
it's
Padula, P-A-D-U-L-A.
To do this. Gotcha.
So right
Okay.
now it's 0. We're disturbing 77%
Yes.
to do the work.
Did that answer the question?
It
I
did.
mean, the area is not disturbed right now.
Okay.
So there's 100%, the 100% of the steep slopes that are there, we're disturbing 77% of that.
Gotcha.
And
All right.
the reason for that is, like John said, a lot of the areas in that front yard. And we have to push the house back because the requirements that require the house to be matching setbacks up and down that road. We have the disturbance in the back for the septic systems, because when you test for septic, you gotta put the septic where it can go. And that's where it ended up. But by pushing the house back to match the front yard setback that's required in the ordinance, that requires us to be disturbing more of the steep slopes in the rear yard. The front yard, that disturbance is occurring for the removal of the driveway and also to get slopes to not exceed 3-to-1. So like John said, last time we were in here, it's a balancing act to try to ask for the least amount of relief, but also to be able to build a house that's commensurate with the neighborhood. And the other thing John failed to mention in his presentation was this lot is just under 40,000 square feet. The requirement's 60. So we're an undersized lot. That's unique to this property. So if we're a 60,000 square foot lot, this house it belongs there. We didn't make the lot 40,000 square feet. So, and then like John did say, with the setbacks, we have 85 feet of the lot from one side to the other. It's not permitted to be built in. So that squeezes our envelope down to about 65 feet. And then to go to your question about why we need the additional space on top of the garage, when you squeeze, like John said, that house that we showed you was 5,400 square feet. We're proposing 45 because we do realize that the lot is smaller and tighter. So to try to get that space back, because in these homes, that's the kind of space people are looking for. We need the additional space, and we have that opportunity on top of the garage.
Yeah, but I guess my stance is you're trying to put 2 buckets of water in one bucket. You're overbuilding the lot. You're trying to, you want to build a 5,300 square foot house.
45.
No, 4,500 square.
45, but then you also want to add to it the garage, which is how many square feet? So I guess what I'm saying is you're doing too much. Maybe you got to get rid of the pool. You got to do something, right? To fit this beautiful house on this lot. It is a small lot, and it is below what the standard, ordinance is for 60,000 square feet. But you have to make adjustments. You have to make adjustments to make it work within some boundaries.
It is your biggest concern disturbing the steep slopes? Is that your? So like if I left the horseshoe driveway there, it's not really safe. Like when I redevelop the whole property, it is gonna be a better end product. I really am trying to make the end product a better product. But it just, in doing that, I didn't put complete, it's like a death trap. That horseshoe driveway, I almost got flipped by a car going over the speed limit coming out of that thing. So that's what gave me the red flag to like, hey, I should eliminate this. So I am trying to do the right thing and to make it fit the neighborhood. And I didn't, unfortunately with it, the stormwater testing that was on the north side was on the low side of the lot. So like, given that the road is going one way and the lot's going the other way, that's like, in my opinion, like a little bit of a challenge and a hardship that like I'm trying my best to ultimately make it better than what it is right now. And hey, I could leave if I could reduce it from 77% and not regrade that lower driveway. But I don't think that that's all in all. Like, if you were to go out there and take a look at it, like,
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, I understand all the things you're saying, and I agree with you. I drive up and down that road all the time. My daughter lives on Sawmill, so
Okay.
on Sugar Road, and so I know that. I know what you're doing. It's just in my estimation, and again, I'm only one person, right? It's just too big a house for the lot. If there's something you can do, it's not so much disturbance. I know the disturbance you're doing is necessary for the house that you're building. Maybe you need to make something different, so you're doing less of a disturbance. Like I said, it might be the pool, it might be the patio, it might be something that could help alleviate some of the problem. You're saying that the person that's gonna eventually buy this house, you're doing all their work. Right? Instead of them having to come in and piecemeal in front of us to put a pool or to put a patio or to do this, that, or the other thing, you're trying to do it all as one fell swoop, right? And I'm saying, I just think it's too much.
so you're looking to phase it. So like when I build a stormwater management facility, something that I'm thinking about is getting all of the site work. So nobody's disturbing it in 5 years from now, 3 years from now, when somebody buys it and says, I really do want a pool, or I do want something, and I have to go back and get relief and do this and do that, then there's more disturbance, more stormwater management. So I'm looking at it as like, just big picture, what's the right thing to do the right thing for you guys, for myself, for my prospect, for the future, that nobody ever needs to go back to any type of stormwater management.
Okay,
Yeah,
here's where we're kind of like it in loggerheads, okay? You're looking at today, I'm looking at tomorrow. All right, you're saying, I'm gonna do all this work and hit the standards we have in 2025. Maybe 5 years from now, the standards are gonna be, we're gonna need more water management. We're gonna need more other things, okay? So we'll be able to approach it then as opposed to now. I'm just saying, the way things are today, it may or may not be okay. But maybe once you get it in there and more stuff is bought, purchased and fixed up above or below you, it's going to become more, the stormwater management and the lot size is going to be more drastic. It's because I kind of watched that, and our job here is to give the minimum amount of relief you need necessary for you to build a nice house. That's our job, right? That's what we're charged with. When the commissioners or the supervisors say, hey, you're on this board, that's what we got to do. But again, I'm one voice.
Mike, do you have any comments or questions or anything?
Well, I think Charles and I sort of share the same philosophy. We've never seen a number this big in terms of slope, at least I've never seen as big an amount, significant amount beyond the permissible amount. And it's just hard to believe that that's the minimal relief that's ultimately, and I think it again comes back to what you're looking to design. And I understand why, because there's a marketplace and everything. But nonetheless, there has to be consideration to the zoning code, and 77.8% when it's supposed to be 15%. It's just hard to accept that without some adjustments.
All right, Sam, do we need to make rulings on each of the individual variances?
Let me say, do you want us to make a ruling on this tonight, or do you want to go back and do the drawing board on it and continue?
I don't, hey, to be honest, it's my first time. I don't know if you can give me some sort of feedback. I would like to be able to move forward. To be honest with you, I talked with Andy about, this. I really would like to phase this into, two phases in terms of construction. Wanted to be able to get the construction entrance in. We did apply kind of in terms of the process, I have a demo permit right now, but the only way I can get the house demoed is if I had a helicopter to remove the house, because I'm not allowed to come in and out with a truck per PennDOT. So I went to, I did come back. PennDOT said, hey, regrade the front and come on back and see me. And I said, well, hold on, your PennDOT's telling me to regrade the front, but let me check with the township. And so I did touch base with, I did touch base with Andy and said, hey, and I needed a minor grading permit to be able to regrade the front, to be able to put the construction entrance in. So I wanted to be able to phase it into two portions. I want to be able to get the construction entrance in, eliminate the lower section of the driveway, get all of the landscaping in. So everything is established along the whole first 75 feet of the property. And demo the house, get it on the market, and then do phase two is the construction of that. But in order to do that, you need to discuss this first.
Okay. We have,
The other thing you might want to consider is, with regards to the steep slopes, it is a big number. But if you look at that plan, almost half the lot size is steep slopes. So you're going to be disturbing steep slopes no matter what you do. And to modify this to adjust for that, and those steep slopes are 15%, up to 25. It's not extreme, but what else can you do without disturbing steep slopes? You can see that the majority of them are in that bottom corner of the property where the driveway is.
Right.
And I think everybody here, for safety purposes, would agree that that driveway should be replaced. The remainder is in the back where the septic is, and because the house got pushed back, we're being pushed into that area. We have proposed a 9-foot wall in the back to try to minimize that disturbance. But at the end of the day, we're talking about half the site being steep slopes, which again is unique to the property. So,
okay.
yeah, I don't know what more we can do other than maybe put a tree house on the lot and keep it where the steep slopes aren't. It just.
I get it. All right. Okay.
Let's not make a decision.
All right, we're not gonna make a decision tonight. We'll render a decision within 45 days. I think it's safe to close the record, right? I don't think we'll have any more.
Is there any other things that like we could discuss that, like, hey, we can.
You heard the concerns. I think it's 77% disturbance seems too much, and that seems to be the hangup. And the impervious surface within 1.5%, and we can make a decision on that. The other accessory structures, you're at 8 variances, and in special exception seems excessive. I think that's just a general statement. And we have the 2 garage
Yeah, but he added a couple.
additions, right?
Yeah, he added two.
And I know, I'm not saying you didn't. I know
am
you've already,
trying-
that's what I'm saying. You've already gone back. This is you saying, this is the best that I can do. I want to get a decision on these requested variances, and we're happy to make a decision on those requested variances. Or hearing the questions and the commentary, you want to rethink any of it? If no, then we can come back, we can go down the list of all the variances, make a decision on each of those and the special exceptions, and then you can build accordingly, or come back and request another variance if your permit or your plans require that. Does that make sense?
Sure. Now, like, so the biggest hangup, if we say, is the steep slopes, is that something that that's the one that we need to, that's the one that's holding us up. Am I understanding that correctly?
I guess for me anyhow, I can only talk for me. I just think it's too much house, and because it's too much house, you're kind of running into the other problems. Right? Because you're building a 45 or whatever it was, plus the garage, plus all the other variances and special exceptions you need, okay? They all kind of back into the 77.8%. You know, what I'm saying is, I think you got to reduce it a little bit somewhere, all right? So that you're not doing as much. So it's more in line with the lot that's there. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Is there any? So I'm just trying to understand if I am forced to put the driveway on the,
For example, remove the pool. Takes care of
Okay.
your square footage, takes care of the impervious coverage and reduces, I think, significantly the steep slopes. That would be an
if that, if
example of
that, if
something
that, if
would
that
go.
gets it done and I remove that.
I'm not
pool-
saying it will, I'm just, that's an
Yeah,
example. of
but
change.
that's something.
That's kind of what we're saying. We're kind of saying, you know, keep it open, go and look how to reduce it. You know, if it's the pool or if it's something else, then come back and say, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reduce, you know, it's no longer going to be 26.5. It's now going to be 25.5. And I'm just using numbers, just throwing
Sure,
things out.
sure.
You know, I'm going to get rid of the pool. So now I'm only going to be disturbing 60% as opposed to 77.8. Right? You know, I don't need over the garage for habitat. You know, you're just to try and get rid of some of these extra accessories that you want to put in an area that it's just not warranted. It's just, you don't have
Okay.
the room. That's kind of what I look at.
Okay.
Okay, so is it, let's continue. We'll have, hear this again next month. We'll leave it open. So you can think about those comments, come back, plan on addressing them with changes. And we'll make a
Just to-
decision next month.
So just so I understand it, maybe Mark, you could clarify. So I understand this, if I were to remove the pool, and I'm just gonna say it's still, I think the biggest thing that I have is the driveway situation.
And I think you've made, I'll speak for myself.
But I'm, you know, hey, if you eliminate the pool, and if it went from 77 to 75.
Right,
And you
okay.
eliminate the pool.
It's less. I think you've made an argument for the driveway. I'll speak for myself about the driveway. It seems you have an argument and a seeming hardship to have the driveway, and you've explained in excess that it's safer to have the driveway that way. Makes sense. To have a pool, to have a detached garage, to have a living space above, those are the nice to have things that I see in the application that if removed or changed would show that you're not just doing it because you want it, you're doing it because you're trying to work with what the land allows for. That's my opinion.
I don't have a hard time with the driveway. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, getting in and out of that needs to be safer than it currently is or would be. So I'm not saying that. And again, my problem is, it's just the house, the actual structure and the amenities that you've attached to the house. Just are greater than the lot's willing to take. You're trying to put 2 buckets of water in one. It's just, now how you get to the bucket, I'm okay with that.
I'll just also add, I think you've made a lot of progress since the last meeting. I mean, I read through the initial and the red lines. So, you know, I know you're willing to work to try to get closer. Yeah, and I think your questions on like, what would it take are valid. I'll agree that I think that the driveway, like, you know, what are you gonna do there, right? You gotta enter it. It's a safety issue, PennDOT. I think if you can look at other things that maybe you don't need on the property, and if that gets you, I mean, you're never gonna be at 15%, right? But 77 is well in excess of anything I've seen in this board in the years that I've been here. So, but I get it, it's property, it's, you know, it is what it is, but I think there's probably room to do something there.
So does just that horseshoe driveway, just, again, it's a balancing act. If I were to leave that and not touch that, that's a huge portion of it. Leave a horseshoe driveway there, so that I can cut down that, like significantly, bring that down, leave the horseshoe driveway there. So it just helps bring that 77% number
Well, I think
down.
that's what everybody wants to see you come back for.
I don't know,
And
just
find a way to get that number
Come,
down.
do I like, again, do I touch base with, like, I'm
Well-
trying to figure out, so like, when I get to next month's meeting, it's not like, hey, I went from 77 to 75. And then now it's, hey, now you gotta get to 73, and then
I'll give you Charles' cell phone number and
I'm
check
good.
with him
I'm
and see.
I would rather not, I'd rather have a discussion to go,
I know.
here's a couple things. That's the biggest holdup. And
I think you run it by Andy. Andy kind of thinks like us. You know, he can guide you, you know, if he gives us, you know, this is the best he can do, it's, you know, I'll listen to that, right? I just think it's too big a house, too big a dwelling for the lot that you have. And its location, you know, you're gonna have to give up a couple of the amenities, to get it through. That's all.
Part of echoing what he says about communicating with Andy. You just come in here next month, but we haven't heard anything new about the property, and now you're saying, well, here's what I'm proposing, what do you think? We'll probably be maybe right back having this kind of give it.
yeah, I just,
And so if you use the time between now and then, Andy shares with us communication so we can see where things are going.
okay,
And that would be helpful to me at least,
okay,
as well as to get Andy's input.
Okay.
Rather than get here the next meeting and be hearing it all anew and not really being sure about it. Okay?
okay.
Okay, thank you.
So
Andy,
the direction we get from Andy would be direction from you,
Yes.
basically.
You know,
Well, he can't vote for
I
it.
know you
can't
can't,
vote,
but
but
if he tells us to do this and we did that, and we come back and you said, listen what Andy said,
Yeah, I don't-
Say it without saying that.
that's what, we'll work with Andy.
we respect his opinion. We respect his opinion very much.
Part of the record.
Go, Andy.
That-
All you, buddy.
Mr. Exhibit.
Yeah, I don't see,
Okay, so we have to put it into evidence. As
Okay.
part of your case.
okay.
Is this what you want? into
Yeah,
evidence?
that can be a part of the case, and then just to clarify, I guess the two-story structure, I'm just trying to, like, I did put an exhibit in there to like discuss, and then we didn't discuss that. Do I touch base with Andy on that as well, or?
The two-story garage.
It's exhibit 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is, like, I just want it to be in scale of the house. Hey,
Think
could
of-
I,
Think about, I guess, for the office space above the pool, the size of the lot. If you don't have a strong argument about a hardship on that, then I would like to see that addressed. The office above, the house, in your opinion, maybe too small to put an office. In others, I think it's plenty big to find an office space to have someone work from home in, right?
Okay.
And to
but
have a
but in
living
terms of
space
just having
above.
it scaled right.
Scaled right,
You could put storage up there, you just can't.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a great idea,
This could be unfinished, you know, it
Mhm.
doesn't,
Perfect.
can't be finished.
I'm tracking.
right? And then the pool, right? Love a pool, but it's cutting in significantly. It helps your impervious surface. That would eliminate a variance. You're right. Like, well, if it's not 9 variances, is it 7 that gets us across the line? Like, I don't know the answer to that. I'm gonna speak for the other board members, but I think, I appreciate the attempt you've made so far, but it's the big ones is the excessive 77%. No change was made to that. And there are a couple other points, to me, the pool and the living space and the garage in general, that just seem like a nice to have, and there's no hardship to meet those two
By
things.
special exception, he could have residential storage space.
Yep.
On the second floor,
Mhm.
as opposed to living space.
Yep, so aesthetically from the street,
I know,
It's-
we
it's
think
right,
that
but
makes sense.
But you
Yep.
have that height issue, depending on of the height.
the height issue is making sure it scales right to the house. If you have a 40.
Understand
Yeah.
that,
Okay,
that's an argument,
Could I-
right?
And I don't wanna make this any longer than it needs to be. I just wanna be sure there's not a technical issue involved with the garage. And that is, my understanding is there's 2 requests for relief. One is the square footage, one is livable space used as an office space.
No, it
No.
wasn't square footage.
Yeah.
It was the residential use and the height.
The height.
And second
Those are the
floor.
two
And the
issues.
setback.
And second.
yeah,
Second-
second floor
both
livable
those-
space. So I understand it. It's livable space and height.
Thanks.
Okay,
But has that livable space been advertised as relief sought?
Well, I believe it was, because that was in the original proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It wasn't, right?
It
wasn't
came up at
listed.
last month's
It came
meeting.
up during the proceeding.
So
Okay.
everyone continuing with the livable space, requesting a variance, and that's how he started the meeting tonight. I heard him suggest that you wanted to amend your application to include that request for variance. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
wasn't, it was talked about and I wasn't sure if the,
And then
if
the
the variance
height-
and
the
the
height-
permit is.
And you would need a hardship for that, and that's kind of
Yeah.
where.
Total. I'm
Don't
tracking.
recommend going down
I'm-
that path.
I'm tracking.
Okay.
Again, if he requests storage, he doesn't need a variance.
Right.
He needs a special exception, which
Right.
makes a big difference.
Yes, big difference.
Thanks, Sam.
All
right.
So my understanding is we're going to
We're gonna
continue.
continue to the August.
leave The record open
That's right.
for
All right. So we'll
further
con-
consideration.
continue to August 21st is the next meeting. And we'll leave the record open.
Schedule a time with you.
All right.
We'll chat through it.
Thanks again. I appreciate working.
Prepped and ready to roll.
Thank you very much.
All right, man.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Before you call in next, meeting, can I have a word?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, let's back.
You're,
No, mix. All right, appreciate everyone's patience. We're gonna come back to application Z 2025-21 for 116 Chestnut. Our solicitor will make a clarification on the record from last month's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen.
Turn your mic
I
on,
have
Sam.
reviewed the notes of
Sam,
testimony.
turn your mic on, please.
Or we might have it closer. It's really low.
There you go.
I have reviewed the notes of testimony with regard to the applicant's hearing on June 19th, 2025. And I was mistaken to indicate that the matter was continued. The record reveals that Mr. Silk, at the time serving as chairman, did in fact close the record at the conclusion of that hearing. And it was left at that time suggesting that the board had 45 days to render a decision. We will not make that decision this evening. We will make it within the time frame. So therefore, any further evidence or testimony from protestants would not be accepted this evening because of the closed record. But I've recommended to the board that the folks here, before they render a decision, would have an opportunity to make public comment, which is not necessarily part of the evidence of the hearing. And I believe that the board understands that it was my error initially, and until I read the notes of testimony when I had a moment, and it clearly specifies that the record was in fact closed.
All right, so again, apologies for the confusion initially. So the record is closed tonight. Again, we will hear public comment. Following public comment, we will take an executive session. We'll come back and render a decision on this application tonight. So we can orderly, we'll start with our party protestants in the front. If you have any public comment or statements about the application, I know you spoke last time and had the opportunity to cross-examine and make your comments then. I think you said you had new information you wanted to speak to. Again, this isn't an interrogation. This isn't the public comment will be part of the record, but it's not something that can be added as evidence against the applicant.
I'm not sure what you mean about speaking to with the last meeting I did. Okay, At the last meeting, I was specific in mentioning the terrain being sloped and problems with your water concerns that came very close to my house on Monday night, which was why I wanted to submit some photographs. But that is not, am I allowed to speak to that at all?
Speak to your issues, yes.
Okay, very good. If I can speak to my issues. My main issues are three. Well, at least include, but are not limited to three, which is the increased runoff and potential soil erosion that is proposed to impact my property. The way the water flows from the back of this property down into my backyard. It follows a path, a natural path. There's no, anything built over. It follows a natural path along the east side of my home. And then it goes down to Main Street. Providing evidence of such is a little difficult to do because you have to wait for the rain to happen and the right time of night. So on Monday, I waited until after the thunder and lightning stopped. And I went out and I started to take some photos, which included the stream of water running down my yard and so on and so forth. So that was why I wanted to submit these things. But if I can't, I can't. You realize my concerns. I'm concerned about structural problems, water entering in my home when impervious structure it exists because it doesn't now. And pervious ground goes away. And where's the water going to go? It's going to go from the house to the ground to my yard, probably in my house, especially in a heavy rain. As more water increases, it'll come up to my door. So that is a personal concern. I also have concerns as expressed by James and our neighbors who have come. And that has to do with the increased density of our area. So this is both personal and public comment. Those who live here value the open space that we have. And the open space was factored into the zoning laws. This is a choice to develop. It's not a real need to develop. And based on the plans that we saw at the last meeting, you could argue that the proposed project can have a superior, can actually serve as an example of what the zoning laws are designed to prevent in this district by building structures such as this on areas that are that small. Thirdly, continuing with the increased density, I just wanted to say personally, and I know I have my neighbors agree. I, for one, didn't envision this neighborhood becoming dense with structures that are too large and that are too high for the plots that they occupy. And I do have a real concern that this project will have an impact on the value of my home and the home of the Reeves, which are the two adjoining properties, and that the continued development of this type will negatively impact not only the character and desirability, and also the value of the neighborhood. The last thing I really was trying to focus on was the hardship that was presented and how it is opposed or it versus reasonable use. Like the applicant, like Mr. Nguyen, I also own a property that consists of several parcels. One of the lots is 40 by 25, and with all of the, I'm going to mention in the last meeting that there was talk about several parcels and tax bills and whatever. I have the same thing. And the zoning regulations have 12734A2, which is also an option for open space. And that's something that can very well apply.
Can you repeat that last sentence so we can get it?
Okay, so the zoning ordinance also includes regulation 172-34A2. It's the open space option. And this is an option for lots such as these 40 by 125 lots. Most of the properties in this district are divided as such, subdivided that way. And most of the building is on multiple lots of that size, so there's nothing unusual about it. Fine, I've lived here for 34 years. I appreciate it. I understand it. I love the neighborhood and the openness that we have, and it's modest openness. We're not talking about, you know, grandiose yards or anything like that. In contrast, and I think my neighbors would agree, is increased density, compromised safety, increased runoff, drainage issues, loss of privacy, that's a big one, the reduction of green space and so on, natural light. And gratefully, these are hardships that I do not currently experience. Even though I have a little lot, I don't plan to initiate them. But there are some neighbors, there are some who actually are now subject to them. And I see that the impacts are negative. It's very clear. And so there's a general concern for all of my neighbors that, including myself, the risk of enduring similar hardships may happen, let's say, if the proposed structure is built. So reasonable use, open space. They're my thoughts, and I thank you for the time. Much appreciated.
Okay. We are happy to look at the pictures. We just can't enter them as evidence against the records.
Tell me how I should do that.
You can just hand them to us and we'll take a look and
Very good.
remember the. Okay. Pass it down.
Hey,
Hey, you're on, Ryan.
can everyone hear me?
Yes.
What is this?
Good.
One sec. What are we doing?
I'm glad that we caught the procedural issue with the record being closed.
Well, hold on.
I don't believe that any public commentary should have been.
Sorry, Ryan.
You
Until it's our turn.
That's, we're not saying that. I just, no one knows what you're doing here with the phone call.
Oh, so Ryan Jennings is the my attorney. We thought this was going to be just a review of the rendered decision, not an actual, going back and forth.
We're
And
not, there is no going back and forth. We're allowing people to make public comment.
Sure.
There is, the record has been closed. We established that already. So
he was just
he had
uncomfortable with the
something-
sharing of photos to the panel. That's what he was uncomfortable
We can
with.
hold them up and we can see them from a distance, all right? Perfect. Thank you.
If the record's closed, public commentary should not be accepted.
Not being accepted, not offering them at this.
It's not being accepted.
we didn't do public, did we do public comment? I wasn't here for the last meeting. That's why I'm asking.
Comment last time.
Okay.
Which we conduct.
We're just asking questions. We'll get to
which we
public comment.
Conduct at every hearing. And this hearing is
Yeah.
not different. We opened it for decision purposes. And if there's public comment, it's public comment. It's not evidence. And it's certainly not anything we're going to accept.
Yeah.
Record's been closed, but we did schedule for a hearing to make a decision. So public comment is appropriate.
And just to be clear, so everybody understands what public comment is, you'll step up to the podium, you can make your remarks. It is not you asking questions or going back and forth. It is just that public comment. You can state how you feel about this, your concerns, whatever that is, but it is not a ability to start asking questions or cross-examine any of the witnesses. The record's been closed. Can you please turn that phone off?
But the two protestants that were registered last hearing have voiced their opposition. I believe Mr. Reef testified at that hearing and also offered a letter of sorts, correct? They were made part of the record. I believe, ma'am, you did not present any evidence last time, but you were present.
I was present and I spoke briefly, and I wasn't aware of how these proceedings work, so my apologies for bad homework. But I do not recall any open public comment offered.
There's always open public comment. So, and under these circumstances, we're going to allow public comment this evening, but it's not part of the evidence of the case.
Got it.
The evidence portion of the case has been closed. The board can consider public comment before they render a decision, and then they will go into the executive session and review.
I thought your example of that was perfect. So,
the same thing.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, thank you. James Reef, REIF, 122 Chestnut. Before I give my comment, I just wanted to let the committee know that Mr. Nguyen and I and Maria had a pretty good conversation in the lobby. So, kind of let him know personally how we feel about this without pointing fingers and calling people names. So just how it's going to affect this community, and I appreciate him listening. I was just telling him, I spoke to his father before he passed away, unfortunately passed away, about the same issue back when I bought this house in 2020. And the father assured me what's going to happen. And like I said, I know he was a nice guy, very honorable man. I just kind of tugged on his heartstrings to see maybe he can help us out here and the damage that this house will do to our neighborhood. And if he was planning on having mom move in, we would love to have her there. Like I promised him, we would take care of her. We would look up on her. I know the whole neighborhood would, and half the neighborhood's behind me. They would embrace your mom in, and we would take care of your mother if that's the decision you make with that. So, with that said, I just, a couple of things if we're going to go forward with this, just the reasonable use, it's not really gonna be a harmonious match like they testified. I think it will have a detrimental impact. It is prejudicial to our character of our neighborhood. And I just really would like to see him choose a different venue, a different direction. If he's honestly gonna try to build something for his mother to come live there. I know she's elderly. But just just a couple of things, the soil instability and proper fill. It's my understanding that there was 2 ingrown round pools that were filled with debris and junk, and I'm just worried about that. What happens? How we gonna approach that? Is there gonna be a environmental site assessment? And that with that is drainage and erosion risk. How stable is that going to be with those pools full of water? In my opinion, the hardship standard isn't met, in my opinion. It's only variance only granted if there's a unique hardship that's not self-imposed. Purchasing a narrow non-conforming lot and claiming it too small to build on is self-created, in my opinion. Wanting to profit from the land is economic and not legal. I just personally think that the burden is on the buyer's responsibility when they buy that property. It's not the township's responsibility to say, hey, you can't build on this lot. It's the township's responsibility. I'm sorry, the buyer's responsibility. And there is settled case law that backs you up on this. Talafari versus Darby Township and Maliski versus Zoning Board of Pittsburgh. No guaranteed precedent. The applicant referenced nearby approvals. Every lot's different. Just because they approved something, a little house on a small lot back 20 years ago, doesn't mean it was right then, and we just should do it again. And the one thing they brought up at the hearing was that there was no opposition until I came forward. Well, we went around the neighborhood and got signatures. We got 34 signatures from neighbors surrounding that property that are against it. We put flyers out in the mailboxes thinking tonight was going to be a continuation. Obviously it wasn't, but a lot of these neighbors came today to back us up on this. So the opposition is pretty strong for the neighborhood. And then it's just, I just don't think it's a single non-conforming lot. The property is part of three properties. The first 2 had that home, and the third was a functioning side yard. It was a side yard.
Is this considered evidence being provided?
Make a comment.
Okay.
Sam, you may have to hold your microphone up. It is tough to hear you. Sorry.
I believe that you reiterated those factors in your last month's hearing. Is that not correct?
I'm sorry.
Last month, you voiced the same objection as you are today. So I don't want to cut you off, or the board doesn't want to cut you off, but if it's repetitious, you're already on the record.
Okay. I just, like I said, we didn't know that the hearing was closed, to be honest with you. I thought we were gonna be able to get some testimony today. And I know, like I said, there's a lot of neighbors that are against it. Once again, Mr. Wayne and I and Maria had a great conversation in the hallway. I'm really praying that we can come up with a solution here that'll be amicable for this gentleman and the neighborhood. So that's all I have. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wants to make similar public comment? Okay. Make sure you can probably is there a microphone at the podium, or is there?
Yeah, just push the button when it goes green.
Can everyone hear me?
Just give your name and address,
Yes,
please.
my name is Lucy Haynes, Haines.
You're covering the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Do this, just talk right to that. If
Okay.
you hold it there, you'll block it.
Very good. Thank you. Lucy Haynes, Haines. My address is 111 Chestnut Street. I live across the street from this proposed development or house, and one house over, so diagonal to this lot. I'm very upset that this is going to be potentially another house. A few years back, not the house next to me on our right, but the next one over was approved. These homes that are going up that are skinny and very tall look terrible. They don't reflect the complexion of the neighborhood. I live in a newer home in the neighborhood, but it does fit in with the neighborhood. I have enough ground around me as well. Across the street, there's a nice home that I believe was rented up until this recent past. And it's adjacent to this lot that I thought would just be a nice little open space. To stick another house there that's 21.5 feet wide, which is ridiculous when you think about it, and 55 feet deep, and impacting neighbors in the back and on the side, not so much directly me, but I have to look at it across the street, I think is just terrible. I mean, let's just use some common sense here. That is really all I want to say. I'm very frustrated. I saw a couple of houses. There's another house that went up on Main Street, a beautiful home on a big lot. I'm not objecting new houses being built in the neighborhood. I think it adds to the neighborhood. The neighborhood is filled with a lot of different homes, and which is nice, which is one of the things I liked about it. Wasn't like a cookie cutter neighborhood, but you know, this is really, you know, something we have to think about. I hope you guys would consider some of these folks here and what they've offered, because you know, I think there's other solutions that I think this property needs to be set as is, and maybe perhaps rent it again or sold, and maybe it will, you know, look like a nicer home in the future. But you know, that's all I have to say, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
If it's green, yes. And hit the button.
Megan Breslin, Breslin, 109 Chestnut Street. So I am the person that lives next to that big blue house that got built, which I think it was 14 variances that were let go. So interesting when this gentleman's telling the prior person that it's too much house for that lot on St. David's. That blue house that was built next to me, 109 Chestnut Street, is too much house for the lot it was put on. So hardships that I'm dealing with because that big blue house was built, which would be something that the neighbors for this property would be, lack of privacy, lack of green space. One thing that nobody would think about is me and the girls can't be on the side yard during certain hours of the day because the sun that hits off of that house, because it's so close to my property line, could burn you. There is so much heat that comes off of that house when that sun reflects. Where we can't even, I said, come on, girls, we gotta move somewhere else because it's so something nobody would think about is I guess what I'm going to for. So I would be opposed to this just for my own personal, what I'm dealing with now, because 14 variances, I believe it was, were approved for that person to build that house. And so I would not want other neighbors to have to deal with some of those things that we're now dealing with because of that. I'm sure there's more, but that's all I would like to say for right now.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carrie O'Brien. My wife and I, Shannon, Carrie O'Brien. My wife and I, Shannon, live on 117 Chestnut, which will be legitimately right across the street from the proposed property. Didn't get a chance to make the last meeting due to my work schedule, but my wife was here, waited the whole thing out. So just kind of echoing the sentiment of the previous folks that spoke. I know I didn't get a chance to speak to you as well. I just think it's a common sense thing. You know, again, not trying to say I'm against any development, everything like that. My wife and I are from Delaware County. I grew up in Upper Darby. She grew up in Aston, lived in New Jersey for 8 years prior to moving here. One of the reasons why we choose Newtown Square, move over Howardtown, Springfield, et cetera. Nothing against those communities. It is the fact of open spacing. You don't want to feel like too crowded, et cetera. I understand development has to happen, but the property being proposed, I mean, legitimately, you know, Jim and Florence, it's right outside their window. With myself, it's, you know, directly right across. It's a nice property right now. It's got a nice open lot. From my standpoint, I'm not sure why the original property on the lot, if that is the case, ultimately, if that is what you plan to do, moving your mother in, why that can't be renovated. Anything like that to accommodate, maybe renting it out again until his mother's ready to move in. And again, like Jim just mentioned to me, he said to you, we're all personal people, but nothing against, you know, personally against you. Like if it's something, I feel like it's just a common sense thing. Just, you know, if you look at that property and anyone who would live there, live where Jim is, live, you know, kind of where I live, I just feel like it's too much, you know, personally. Nothing, we never met, believe me. It's like, we're very open people. Like Jim said, if there's something that we can work out to say, hey, you know what, like no one's against you building and fixing up your house, everything like that, but it's just, I have a hard time just personally I'm trying to think, Charles said at the last thing, just trying to envision why that needs to go right there. And I get it, I understand, you know, I don't know your personal, you know, agenda with it. I want to, you know, believe whatnot, that it is your mother, but, you know, if it's just simply like, you know, I want to make a rental property first, my first thought with the letter was, all right, let's just be honest what we want to do. And if it is the case, we understand, we're understanding people. I mean, everyone in this neighborhood's great, that's why we choose it. We bought back in May of 2023, and some of these people around here have accepted us, and we feel like it's family. So no one's against you, nothing personal. It's just, you know, we love our neighborhood. And I think the consensus is everyone feels it's just a little bit too much, and why right there. That's kind of all I'm trying to say to you. So not trying to pull on people's heartstrings or anything like that, but I think to the board, if you look at the common sense aspect of it, to me, it's just, again, yeah, I go to sentiment of the previous case, it's just too much. So that's all I need to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kim Green. I live at 114 Chestnut Street, so I live next door to and close proximity to the existing house. My parents bought our property in like 1959, and 26 years ago, we tore down that house and I put a modular home on the lot. So we worked within the parameters and requirements, so we didn't have to go for any variances. But as Megan stated, living next to the blue house that was built some years ago. Yeah, there's just been a few too many of those type of houses built in our neighborhood, and you know, there's no room for kids really to play. I understand maybe his mother's going to live there. The existing house, the last renters, it was a single mom with 4 now basically adult children. I mean, they were graduating high school and going to college, and they were there for at least 2 or 3 years maybe. So yeah, I just wanted to state I'm in agreement and backing up with the rest of the neighborhood that we'd like to kind of keep the open space and not squish everything in as it can be. Thank you.
Thanks.
My name's Deborah Furliger. I live at 18 Chestnut Street and, oh, Furliger, Ferleger. Oh, Deborah, Deborah. Okay. Thank you. I live at 18 Chestnut Street, and that house has been in our family for 60 years. And I kind of grew up there, then my mother was there, and then I came back and I own the house now. I just think these all skinny houses are they're not appealing. They're not attractive. They don't fit in our neighborhood. The ones that are there were just like, I mean, my mom was still alive when some of them went up and she just couldn't believe it. But another thing is you're going to take up empty space. And already my yard is overrun with deer that don't have anywhere to go. And now they're going to have, if you did this, you would have less place for them to go. So I'm just opposed to it because for everything that everyone's already said, it's just not, it doesn't fit in our neighborhood. And, you know, it's sad that it's been allowed, you know, because they're not attractive. I mean, if you guys all live here, you must drive around and see it yourselves. So I'm sorry, I just think, you know, what the other man said, why can't, if your mom's going to live there, like renovate it, make it a nice house that fits in the neighborhood. And, you know, it'll be a valuable thing. You know, the homes are valuable in our neighborhood now, but not. Oh, I said the homes are, you know, he could renovate it and make a beautiful, valuable home, you know, and have it fit into the neighborhood. And, you know, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm John Whitney, and I live at 117 Walnut Street. 117 Walnut. I've got a lot of concern about this because of the trend that it appears that it would set more of these two big houses on these two small lots. Several years back, right across the street from me, a 40-foot wide lot was trying to be built. And thank goodness that was finally turned down and they were never able to build there. But if these lots start getting approved, adjacent to me and right across the street, there's 4 lots that are 40 feet wide, 125 feet deep. I'm going to be in the middle of a damn neighborhood here because of starting to approve these projects with these small houses on these small lots. And it's not characteristic of the neighborhood. And I'm just trying to look towards the future and try and predict what I'm going to be looking at when these lots start getting approved to build all these houses. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Lori French. We're at 115 Chestnut Street, directly across the street as well from the space. And thank you for letting us have a chance to say our 2 cents. I appreciate it. I appreciated hearing the case right before this, and I am referencing what you said about their space. Just like the last case, I feel like it's too much house for this lot to add a whole entire new house to that space. I love the way the zoning requires space on each side, and we would really appreciate having it be kept that way and not making an exception. I understand the hardship is that we need a space for mom to build, and I know you've heard lots of people say this, but I can't help but think that if the hardship is truly for mom, then a really tall, skinny, multi-level space is probably not going to be helpful for mom to live there. So an addition on the back of the house might be a lot easier for mom to get around, but that would be a rough one. And just personally, being the people across the street, we're going to be really sad to lose the huge tree that helps shade our yard as well. So again, the green space, and we'd love to see it stay as it is. So thank you for giving us opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hi, Chris Haas, 206 Walnut Street. I think I might be the only person here from Walnut and not Chestnut. Walnut's right. Haas. My comments are short. I mean, just to go back to the hardship again, my understanding is that the applicant owns multiple properties within the township. So I don't understand how the hardship is I need a place to put mom when the applicant owns, like I said, multiple places within the township where mom could live. So that's it.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Sarah Smith. I spoke earlier. Sarah Smith, S-A-R-A-H, Smith, S-M-I-T-H. So I am just now hearing about the opportunity to join and speak today. I wish I had the opportunity to speak earlier. I understand the hardship. I too also have aging parents that I would love to have next to me so I can help take care of them. So I understand that, but also with aging parents who are 80 and 85 respectively, I also know that they need one floor living. So I'm not quite sure I understand the hardship to build such a multiple level house. But I want to speak more towards not kind of immediate gratification, but the long term. We're losing the land that is available here. And I know one thing that I appreciate with the Heights is the land available for kids to play. I want to think of long term and what this neighborhood can be for the kids and having open spaces for them to play in. Speaking to more of an environmental situation, building a house on such a narrow lot reduces the ability of water uptake. And I know that that is a very important consideration. I don't want to hear, it would be hard to hear about these other properties that are surrounding it now having water issues. And the reason why I can speak personally to this is a former house that I lived in was water damaged and we were unaware of it. And it was because of soil uptake. And I am a toxic mold survivor. The amount of money that went into having to renovate and remediate homes that had intake of water was a lot of expense. And the amount of health impact that I had, as well as my family, was excessive. So I just want to make sure that we're respecting everybody's homes that are surrounding these properties that are being built up. And it's very, very important to take into account nature in the environment because you want your home to be a safe place to live. And when it starts taking in water and becomes a toxic environment, it's no longer safe. And a lot of people are working from home now. And so they are in their environment of their home 24/7 and they're not going to work, they are at home. So this is one thing that I think we should all take into account as I don't want this to set a precedent for more homes to be squeezed in and we're losing our land and places to absorb the water runoff. And especially with a lot of the rains that we've had this year is a demonstration. So thank you very much for hearing me today and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My name is Tom Kelly. I live at 511 Summit Avenue. I've been there for 25 years. Was a mailman in the neighborhood for 19. From Hickory Lane to Pine Street, from Ellis to Summit Avenue, 227 homes, 18 sewer drains. They built a house across the street from me. Couldn't stop it. It's a lovely house, don't get me wrong. After the house was built, for days, they were pounding on granite all day long, digging there. When they finally dug the foundation. First rainstorm, my basement was flooded. Okay. $22,000 later, Mid-Atlantic put a system in my basement, French drain system, and it's going to happen to the next house, There's 11 houses that were built back there, new ones. My house is from 1940, and a lot of them back there are older, old neighborhood. That in Florida Park, the two oldest neighborhoods in Newtown Square. The water that runs off from these 18 sewer drains, more than half of them goes to Drexel Lodge. That's where it goes. The other ones rely on getting through Hickory Lane to the berm behind Hill Cadillac and the driving range and just kind of dying there. That's where this water goes. The more houses you build, the more it's gonna dump, and I feel bad for 119 Main Street, because she's gonna need French drain system in her basement. And I guarantee it. Okay? You can go back there anytime in a rainstorm, and you can go right to the end of my street, and it's just flying down at full speed. Long as people build berms on their property to stop it, doesn't stop it. It makes enemies out of neighbors. That's what it does. And, you know, I heard you guys reiterate earlier, too big of a house for the lot. And that's what it is. And that's all I really have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate that. Appreciate everyone's patience. We will take a short break. We're gonna go back to executive session and then we'll come back and render decision. Okay.
This shit, Boston now, this is, make sure next time, someone rejected and. Yeah. Depending on what I do, I might say don't sell, don't rent. Oh, yeah, might want to protect that button.
Order to be picked up, it's got to be relatively close. Keeping it way back. Talking.
And it was.
Yeah, as you said.
Hammer for.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate everyone's patience. Spoken executive session, and I think we're ready to, then we have a motion or comment to make.
If I could, before making a motion, I do want to make some comments. And this, as you can imagine, has been a very difficult case for us, very difficult. Here's what we're confronted with. We're confronted with the fact that this property is a pre-existing non-conforming property, which means that before there was ever a zoning code, that the land back in the heights was divided up into lots. And there was no restrictions on how big those lots had to be to build on, none whatsoever. And so then the zoning code came along and it did set parameters. It said side yard setbacks, it said front yards, building area, it did all those things. And so you had a battle that eventually came around between people who had the pre-existing the code lots and the zoning code. And what would happen, and I can only relate to a personal experience I had. I can't think of how long ago it was. I judge everything by pre and post COVID, but I know it was like probably 20 years ago. There was a house in the Heights that was a pre-existing non-conforming lot. Nothing was on it. And those houses had been, or those properties had been coming up to build upon. And the township wanted to see what they could do about putting a stop to it. And I was retained at that time, before I was on the zoning hearing board, before I was involved with the township. I was retained to see what I could do in compliance with the law to stop it. And so we cannot, and the Supreme Court of the land of our state has said, you cannot stop somebody from building on a pre-existing non-conforming lot. A person has a right to use their property. That's something that's balanced against the purpose of the code, to have orderly development, to have non-congested development. But it's those two conflicting interests. And the Supreme Court said you have to let them build. And it's not whatever they want, but you can limit it, but you have to let them build. So I was retained, and I had and I knew if we go in and fought the house being built, we were going to lose. That was automatic. It would just be a waste of everybody's time and money, because go up on appeal, it'd be right back and the guy would build. So we had a realtor come in and give an opinion as to a much smaller house than was being proposed. And it was about the size of this house to be built, hoping that it was so small, the gentleman wouldn't build it. And he stuck to his plan. So he took it right up to the Supreme Court, and they agreed, you can build this. This is too small and unmarketable house to build on that lot. So we're confronted with the problem of dealing with this, and we've dealt with it before, and we're going to be dealing with it again, I'm afraid. But we can't stop people from building on the 40-foot frontage lots. We have to let them build. And then it becomes a matter of, well, what is the size of what's being proposed? And I think it's what, 22 feet, 5 inches across the front. Courts, from a previous experience, the court's already said, that's not too big. That's not taken up, given the 10-foot and the 7.5-foot side yard setbacks with what's left over. Because if you build it according to code, he gets to build an 8-foot wide house, which can't happen. So maybe a long story short, I do have a motion to make. The motion on, but I did want to give the explanation and it's I hope there's some understanding to it. We feel like our hands are bound to do what maybe you would like us to do and what maybe we would want to do if we could, but it doesn't mean do you any good to create false hope and say, no, you can't do it, when we know darn well, the court's going to turn around and let them do it. So what was the purpose of that, of all of that? So with that said, with regard to case 2525-21, in which the applicant is seeking a variance relief from sections 172-34B3 and 172-34B6 to build a single residential family home as set forth in his application. A motion is hereby made to approve that application.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The only thing
Motion.
the only thing I could say is, for Mr. News, is to help, is if he could somehow make it a little bit lower, so that it didn't seem so out of proportion with the size of its width. I think that would be a lot amenable to a lot of your neighbors. That's just my personal opinion. Because now you're looking at something that's skinny and tall, as opposed to, being a little lower and maybe a little lower. That's your call. Only three,
Just
there's only
three
three
of
of us.
us. All right, motion carries.